You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
We're just getting the meeting started. Garrett's hooking up. All right.
You want to call the meeting to order, Ken?
Actually, I'm going to suffice to say that you, as the vice chair, can run the meeting.
Okie doke. I'll call the meeting to order. And we'll consider meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the special meeting minutes of February 22nd.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make the motion, we approve the non-public meeting minutes 1 and 2 of February 22nd.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make the motion, we approve the regular meeting minutes of February 28th.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make the motion, we approve the non-public meeting minutes of February 28th.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Nothing to add?
No, did you mention you had a question, Bill? Do you want to-
But I'll talk about it afterwards.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public input.
Ken, you wouldn't believe it. There's a dozen people here.
You're kidding me.
No, well, maybe I am. 1, 2, 3, 7, 5, 8, 9. 9 people.
They heard you were coming.
Yeah. If we could have gotten the word out earlier, we might have hit a dozen.
Hello again. Hello again.
Jesus. Oh, God. Give me a break.
You've earned it.
Well,
All right. Joe DiRusso, Director of Public Works. You're our first appointment.
Good evening. Want to start with the truck purchase to start or the update?
Yeah, so they haven't seen that yet, so if you want to speak to it, I can hand it out.
This come together, I didn't think it was going to be ready for tonight, but it come together quicker than we thought. So it was part of the CIP purchase. CIP had identified $135,000 to replace a 2013 Ford F550 plow truck with a wing and the same plow equipment as we're running. You'll see there's only one bid for the plow equipment. That equipment is proprietary and it matches all the other equipment we have, so there's only really one source to go to for that, and that is HP Fairfield that builds all the plow trucks. The chassis, we received the 2 quotes. Irwin Ford has the state bid, so ultimately they were lower. So the total cost to build the truck and have it ready to go for next winter would be $132,437. I can't have the exact figure off the last one we purchased, same as the trucks we purchased in 2020, but they have gone up quite a bit like everything else with inflation. It's realistic to be able to have the truck ready for next plow season. We do have a truck in reserve that was used just as a spare in the event of a breakdown during a snowstorm, so my idea would be that the 2013 would replace the 2008 spare. The spare would be sold on Municipal. The 2 trucks that we have, that we purchased in 2020, those are new. They've worked out very well for the smaller trucks. We still need the larger dump trucks, but they've worked out really well for the smaller routes, and with the smaller wings, they're a lot more efficient in plowing those. So we would have right now we have 2 of those smaller trucks with wings, a 3rd smaller truck without a wing. This would be the 3rd truck with a wing.
And this 132 is in the CIPC.
135 is in the CIP, yes. So there are, like I said, there is some things that are not listed in the quote, like a radio. There are always incidentals in the bill, but I'm confident it would be constructed underneath that 135,000 in the CIP.
Anybody, anything else? All right, Beverly, I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of the vehicle.
I'll
Looking
second.
for Up to 135.
Oh,
right?
up to
Yes,
135.
radios. Got it. From the highways and cemetery equipment, capital reserve. Yep.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, let's have it.
Okay, give you a little bit of an update before we get on to the adjoining property at DPW. As everybody knows, mud season is upon us. It's not as severe as it's been in the past. We have put stone out on several of the roads. Cobble Hill, West Shore Road, Usually East Shore Road's bad. This year, East Shore Road's not that bad at all. I think it has to do with all the gravel that went in there last year to rebuild it. Windshield Road needed a little bit of stone, and I may be missing another one. But we did post them for weight restrictions, the dirt roads. We did not post the pavement roads this year. Talked with other highway departments, and then just doing an inventory of our roads. There just really wasn't enough frost this year to warrant it. And the other positive thing was the gradual warm up. Instead of the 20 degrees to 70 like we experienced 3 or 4 years ago. So for the winter, we've been working on a lot of shop maintenance along with cutting some brush. I know we mentioned earlier the crew was able to complete a place springs on one of the large dump trucks in-house instead of sending it out to Donovan Spring, probably at a third of the cost of what it would have done to have it done outside. That was a success.
What would it have cost?
I'm estimating around $5,000, and I believe the parts and materials came to about $1,800, and they were able to do it in a day, so it was a big savings. They do that type of stuff on a regular basis, but that was just the most recent one. Been doing a little bit of drainage work when we can in the wintertime, but oftentimes it's not very cost effective and it's not very efficient. You do more damage than you do because the ground's so wet and saturated or frozen. Same thing's been going with the brush, been cutting brush when we can. The metal roofs came in for the sewer plants. We are going to replace those in-house instead of using a contractor. When I say plants, pump stations. So there are 3 facilities up in North Swanzey that are in need of roofs. Behind Powers Generators, the main lift station, and then the grinder building, those roofs are both gone. They're asphalt roof shingles. We're going to replace them with corrugated metal, so they essentially won't have to be done again for a long, long time. And then obviously the pump station over on Wilson Pond. So we have the metal all in stock, and in the month of March we're going to start stripping and replacing those roofs. Myself, I've been working quite a bit on the sewer side of the house with the compliance with this permit for the West Swansea sewer facility. One of the big things coming up is going to have, which is going to be new, that hasn't been in place before, is a detailed operation and maintenance plan that's required by the EPA and DES. Actually meeting with the contractors tomorrow to work on that a little bit more. We're in good shape as far as meeting their compliance. We're going to be sending out a notice to EPA and DES here at the end of the week.
Is that something we do in-house or you do in collaboration with the contractor?
We're doing it in-house and meeting with the contractor to make sure that they don't have any issues or if there's other stuff they want to add to it. For example, we need to come up with a way we're going to do it. As far as the system's kind of been run, if it's not broken, don't fix it, but the EPA and the state saying, not just Swansea, that's kind of everywhere, but the EPA and the state are saying no more of that. They want inspections, they want cleanings of sewer lines, so they're jetted out on a regular basis, and what we're looking at is doing 1/5 of the system every year, and just continue to do it, inspection and clean as needed. So we take some input from the sewer contractor on how they think that'll work, and it should the jetting of the lines is not included in their contract, but the inspections and the facilitating of it, that is included in their contract. So the extra cost for the town will be the actual cleaning of the lines. On a positive note, when Keene looked at North Swansea as part of considering the operation of those pump stations, when they looked at the collection system, they said it was rather clean up there, that it was in pretty good shape. As you know, it's all modern, gasketed SDR pipe, so we're in real good shape there as far as the pipes in the ground. Pump station on Spring Street is going to need some updates sooner than later. So that part of the planning study that hopefully gets voted on here next Tuesday, hopefully that is passed, because that really needs to be looked at with the facility.
So how many miles of sewer line do we have, or feet, whatever?
There's approximately 5.5 in North Swansea, and I don't have the accurate number over here. It's somewhere around 5 miles. Nobody checked with Scott, checked with the sewer commission, and it's not real detailed. The GIS system is being built right now, and it's missing some sections, so I really can't get a fair assessment out of that. Once the GIS system is complete and mapping, it'll be easy to tell exactly, but I'm estimating it's somewhere around the same amount as 5 miles. And
So who does the jetting? Is
We
that
have to
something?
hire a contractor for that.
There-
Yeah.
And is that something long-term we would look to invest in, or
I
do you
don't,
think
I
it's?
think, I don't think so. Most, kind of like a catch basin cleaning truck that we probably potentially could be the same company, Belmore. So once a year, we hire a catch basin cleaning truck to come in and clean catch basins. And the cost of some of those trucks are $400,000 or $500,000, and it's for something you use once a week. I think that would be the same case with the jetting, but need to look at it a little bit more. And then I want to answer from the state as well, is that if we're doing these inspections and we're finding that the pipe is not clean, it doesn't need cleaning, I don't want to clean them just to appease a permit. We gotta look at that a little bit more as well, because like I said, in talking with Keene, what they checked out last year in North Swansea, they were impressed, and we essentially have, I think, one in North Swansea and one in Keene. I'm sorry, one in West Swansea. We got 2 restaurants that are discharging into the system as far as grease goes, so it's not like we have a lot of that. So like I said, the collection system itself is in pretty good shape. The pump stations in North Swansea are real modern, in really good shape, but this one on Spring Street is going to be problematic at some point in time.
Is the age of the pipe similar in both systems?
From what I'm told, yes. And, I mean, the SDR, the gasket at SDR 35 pipe, I don't have the exact number of years, but it's a ways out before having any concerns.
Thanks.
North is a little bit newer, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
North is a little bit newer.
Some of it.
Oh, yeah, 2005.
Yeah, some of it, right? Not all of it, but some of it.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it was
Those
2005?
buildings were built in 2005.
But like Park did the run on 32, that was the most recent. When Park Construction did that line on 32.
No,
was all-
it took 2 years to do it, but,
Okay.
you know.
I thought that was separate.
The only thing that's been existing is like up by Papagallo's, that flows back into Keene. So,
Bridges, we talked about Denman Thompson. I've already got a quote from one contractor. Starting to run out of time, or I'm waiting on another contractor. The big thing is going to be able to, if we are going to move forward with this year, I've already told both the contractors that we're getting estimates from that it has to be done while school's closed. There's no way they can do it while school's closed. And we already discussed the bridge doesn't have to be closed, but you can double the cost by doing it one lane at a time and keeping the bridge open. And it's not very cost effective to do. But the big question is going to be if we can get the joint in time for this year, so it may be something that we're gonna bid out this year and do it next year, but in communication with them on a regular basis. Cold River Bridges was really good about getting back to us, the other one not as efficient, so hope to have something by the second one by the end of the week, and then have an answer from the company that builds the expansion joint, whether they can have it for July or not, if that's gonna be the key piece to it. So that's still potential. Waiting to hear back on the wooden, the old decking for the bridge over on Sortis Crossing Road, whether we're gonna, there's some cosmetic repairs that need to be done to the bridge. I was holding off, I was gonna do it all at once, but if we're not gonna be able to do the floor sometime after getting the dirt roads graded, then we'll go in and do some cosmetic work to it, but waiting to hear back on those supplies.
So for the Denman Thompson, if we do it this year, do we have arrangements of where we're gonna park the fire truck?
We've discussed it, but we haven't, and obviously that was with, I don't know if we'll have a new fire chief in to discuss, but we've had those conversations with Eric, but there would definitely have to be, in my opinion, to be something that have to be staged on the other side of the river because of the response time.
Do we have an idea of where?
We talked about it briefly before. They gave a couple of examples. I know a couple of schools, one I can think of that was close by.
And they'd be closed, so.
Brownfield.
Yeah,
Brownfield could be an option too.
Yeah. Chinburg, maybe.
yeah, so, yeah, a couple would be closed at the time. I'll have a better idea, like I said, once I get to hear from the other contractor and then hear back from the joint manufacturer, if it's going to happen this year. But like I said, if it winds up becoming a problem, then we can put it, it has to be done sooner than later, but it's not like it has to be done this year.
Okay.
I think that is it I have for updates.
Board was asking last meeting about Cobble Hill Road, how that's holding up.
Yes, like I said, we put some stone out there today. It's not bad at all compared to what it was. It's a New England dirt road in February that's fallen. it's bumpy and it's muddy in spots, but there's no way you can put a grader on it, try to grade it right now. And I've had a couple of those phone calls and about what are becoming a grade, and it's a ways out. Because even if the top dries up, there's still water underneath, and you get on now with a grader and start churning up, you're just gonna make mud. The weather stays like it is, first part of April is probably reasonable. Usually winds up being the end of April we're grading, but if the weather goes the way it is, we're probably looking at the first part of April.
Great.
Good.
And then the last thing to discuss is the old Buffin property adjacent to DPW. As you know, we cleaned up the houses there this winter.
Did one heck of a job there.
Yeah, and did some test pits. There's ample supply of road sand, really good sand there. The next step would be to log it off. There's not a lot of topsoil. Initially, I thought there'd be more topsoil. There's really not a lot of topsoil there. But I talked with a mechanized logging operation about coming in. There'd be a fee for them to come in and do it. It's not like they're gonna make a lot of money off the wood that is on there. But the next step would be to log it off and strip it, prepare it to start harvesting some of the road sand that's in there. Barbara Scully reached out just tonight, saw me and asked about the trees there because the Musser Field and the campground has the erosion problems, but they're still in grant phases. I guess they're looking for a 20-foot section of trees with root balls on them that are bigger in diameter than 60 inches. There are some trees that would fit that, but I don't know how they go about harvesting them and then where they would be put. So if we're looking to move forward with the road sand, I think the logging, specifically a mechanized operation, so that they were not dealing with all kinds of debris and brush, a mechanized operation will come in and chip all the remaining brush and try to, I don't think there's really a lot of value in the wood there. That's the reason why you'd have to pay them to come in on a bigger logging operation. They pay you for the wood, but on something that's that small, it's more of a nuisance for them. The same logging company that is gonna cut the trees over on the Upper Wilson Pond Dam project said they would come over, they would move in and clear it off for $5,000, which from what I've been told is a very reasonable price.
It sure is. What's the time frame with regard to transplanting the trees?
There's
Just not
They're
enough
seeking
information.
grants, yeah, that's what I asked. They're seeking grants, and then the question is, if they were gonna do that, who's gonna pay for it? It'd take a pretty substantial sized piece of equipment to come in and be able to take a large pine tree and, without destroying it, getting the stump out of the ground, laying it over, and then transporting it. It'd be equipment beyond what we have.
So it's really not feasible to try to.
That's the way it sounded right now. If it's something we wanna move forward on and keep continuing to clean up that piece of property. And by the sounds of things, they need a lot more. It's not like the trees that I have is gonna fix their problem. It's just they're starting to get the word out that they need trees.
That was discussed in the Conservation Commission, and there was a presentation on this. They're looking at stabilizing the banks near the campground and also the town-owned portions of the land because the erosion is getting to be pretty serious. And they have a lot of lines on grants, but they do need, eventually they will need trees. And that's one of the things that will happen, but maybe a couple of years before that actually gets started. So that's the deal.
Well, Rick might, be willing to put more on his property. He's been saving trees for a while. Unfortunately, they're not the right size.
Yeah, I asked Barbara about that, and she said he's kind of reluctant to take anything because he took all those stumps and he's not sure if he's gonna be able to use them, because he has a mountain of stumps down there right now.
The stumps won't be used in the current design they're looking at. They need 20-foot sections.
Yeah, and the purpose of the root ball is to disperse the energy. And then absorbs the energy, or the purpose of we're just hitting the shoreline, keeps it from being a problem further down.
It's quite a good engineering plan. It's just, it's going to take a lot of money in getting the grants together. There might even be some potential need for a small amount of matching function the town would have to see where that's going. But all that's pretty radar.
Stay tuned.
Thank
And if
you.
you have any trees and a place to store them,
I did. Thank you, Joe.
So I guess as far as the land goes next to DPW, ask the board, do we want to move forward on logging off and start cleaning up and stumping it and harvesting that sand, or do we want to hold off? I mean, I looked at, you could do a little bit at a time cutting the trees, but then what are you gonna do with some of the big dead pines? There's like nowhere to get rid of it. It's not something you burn or whatever, and that's why my idea of having a mechanized logging operation come in and just take everything, chip everything, and clean it up when we can move forward. If things come together with an update to the DPW facility in the future, the parking lot would essentially need to be moved over in some of that area as well, so that property would be used. But it's tough for me to without surveying, but I'm looking at likely 5 to 6 years worth of road sand, and we spend as much as $10,000 to $12,000 a year on road sand. So that more than confident we'd get at least that much out of it.
Seems like a good trade to me, and they're coming in for Upper Wilson Pond Dam anyway, right?
Yeah, that's when I talked to them about doing hours and having them come over.
Consensus?
Ken?
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
It's unanimous. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, so
Go see your family.
thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Business?
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Ken. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Could be new business or just administrative update, but the planning department and I had a meeting with some of the school officials on Friday, new superintendent, facilities manager, and business administrator. So we hosted at the town hall. Usually we go over to their house, so they came over to make sure they understood the nature of all the housing projects and that those projections were information they had. So they don't have any real concerns about the capacity, but it's just something they want to have that open dialogue. So it was a positive meeting. They also included that statute that I included in the board packet regarding the school facilities. So basically, buildings that have been used for educational purposes, once they stop being used for educational purposes, they need to try to find some other educational purpose, be it a charter school or other group, which might use a part or all of the buildings. So that was something we wanted to make sure, they wanted to make sure we were aware of. I know you mentioned.
They're out there looking.
You mentioned you know of a few, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a combination. There's a lot of space over there. They're
Or
also,
we could change the legislation and put it back the way it should be.
good point.
So reversionary clauses in the deeds don't pertain.
That's my understanding based on some of that research that Cordell had done and this legislation.
They're out there. Definitely looking for space.
And they haven't, they don't feel the school board has made a definitive decision about what the future of those schools are. They know what they kind of think might happen, certainly with Cutler, but they talked about having some, community sessions in the future, and I said, hey, maybe that's a good opportunity to have a joint school board, select board, informational meeting, community dialogue, versus us think about it and then think about it separately. Maybe it's something that we can kind of co-host together with them, so we'll see if anything comes of that, but just wanted to mention that it was a positive meeting.
Great.
Thank you. Correspondence?
We got notice that the Cheshire EMS has a new interim chief, Chad McMurray, who was the assistant chief. I met him when I helped with the chief interviews a couple of months ago. He seems like a nice guy. I also asked Chris and Chief McMurray if he's available to attend the March 20th meeting, give us an update on the state of the EMS Enterprise Fund, see how that's doing. One of the provisions we had asked added into the contract was that we get some formal information about how that's going, and just to introduce the chief to the board. So they're planning to attend on the 20th. And to meet the new selectman, whoever he or she may be, so.
Anything else?
Nope.
This one non-public?
Yes.
Another bite of the apple, public input? We're going to be going into non-public session again, and thank you.
Thanks. You're gonna cut us off, Garrett? Okay. Make a motion, we go into non-public.
Second?
Report on it, but not on that day.
Ken,
So just to point out.
Sorry about that.
you just wanna make sure you heard that.
Yeah, I did hear it. Well, for God's sakes.
All right, so Michael will call the roll. Michael's calling the roll.
Which non-public, Bill?
A, B, C,
Either
It's-
either A or B.
yeah, A or B.
A's first.
A, yes, it is A.
Thank you.
Colby,
Aye.
Hutwalker,
Me.
Gary Zinsky.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett.